Welcome to Strands of My Life and this video on the low FODMAP diet. Today I'm going to cover the 8 symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome and low FODMAP intolerance. Number 1. Food equals bloating. FODMAPs like fructose should be absorbed through the lining of the small intestine, but when an individual has difficulty doing this, the fructose continues on down into the large intestine where it's treated as a foreign substance, and that causes the bacteria down there to go to town, and the consequent fermentation results in bloating, diarrhea or constipation, as well as flatulence and stomach pain as a result of muscle spasms and trapped wind. Intolerance to any or all of the FODMAPs will result in the same symptoms. Number 2. The healthy food seems to aggravate the problem. For most people, including the experts, healthy food means fruit, vegetables, beans, whole grains. All 3 of those can be problematic for those who malabsorb any or all of the FODMAPs. All fruits and vegetables contain fructose, and many contain fructans and polyols as well, and all of those can cause us folk problems. Some are lower in these substances than others, and so can be tolerated in small helpings. Grains like wheat, barley and rye are high in fructans, while beans contain fructans and or GOS, which are galacto-oligosaccharides, and these are really not good for us at all. Number 3, you are lactose intolerant, but not all of those with FODMAP problems are lactose intolerant. In fact, I've got no problems with dairy products at all, thank goodness. Only 25% of those with FODMAP malabsorption are lactose intolerant. But it's logical to try eliminating them if you've got digestive issues, because lactose intolerance is well known. This may or may not help depending on whether dairy is in fact an issue for you. I tried and it made no difference at all by cutting out the lactose, the dairy. But let's say you do see a difference, but it hasn't solved the problem. That is because it's only one of the issues involved. One or all of the other FODMAPs could be the culprit or culprits. Number 4. You can't identify the culprits. I spent most of my adult life trying to find a solution to my bloating and constipation in my case, and other cases of course it's diarrhea. And I tried many elimination diets like the dairy one, wheat, the gluten-free one. I even tried a paleo diet, but there was no aha moment for me. So then after trying those, I'd continue on with life for a while, and I'd kind of try to ignore the issue, but then I'd try something different. Anyway, decades of frustration passed, and back in the early days there was no Google that you could Google for answers to these things. And there were definitely no food blogs, and there were no food blogs dedicated to food intolerances. There was really no information anywhere to help, and that's why you went to the doctor and continued to go to the doctor to see if you could get help. I mean, I really envy those of you who are born into this world that's completely governed by the internet. Now that we have the internet, the answers are out there if you dig long and deep enough. But back when I first was a teenager, no amount of digging was ever going to give me the answers, because there was no internet, and the doctors simply didn't know about FODMAPs. Okay, that leads me on to the next point. Number 5. Doctors don't help. I mean, really, I can't tell you how many doctors I've seen over the years. And in the last few years, before I found FODMAPs, which was a couple of years ago, I changed doctors half a dozen times. I was just always hoping that the next one would listen long enough to my symptoms to see that this was not a simple food intolerance. But they didn't, right across the board. They told me I had irritable bowel syndrome, to eat more fibre, more fruit, more vegetables. And I would tell them that I already ate heaps of fibre, fruit and vegetables. But usually by then my time was up, and they'd give me a prescription for a fibre supplement. I did try some of those supplements, but my symptoms always got worse. I mean, the problem is that FODMAP intolerance is not well known, and doctors do, of course, very little nutritional training, as we kind of know now. So they're way off from being the experts that we'd expect them to be when nutrition's concerned. But not one of those doctors actually referred me to a dietitian, who would naturally be more up to date on the latest developments in the field of nutrition. I did eventually go to one a few years back, a dietitian, but she thought I had diverticulosis and gave me a diet for that, and it helped a wee bit, but not really. Right, number 6, you have a love-hate relationship with the toilet. People with irritable bowel syndrome either have diarrhea or constipation. Now, diarrhea is caused either by too much liquid entering the bowel, or by food moving too fast through the bowel and there's no time for the normal drying out process to take place. Or the drying out mechanism could be hindered by inflammation of the colon, in particular in cases like Crohn's. Constipation, on the other hand, is caused either by too little liquid or too much drying out because the contents of the bowel are moving too slowly, or because you haven't gone to the toilet as soon as you feel the urge. Number 7, you feel better after going to the toilet. FODMAPs accumulate in the body. This is what makes it such a complex diet. They accumulate until they're released through going to the toilet. So you'll feel much better after a toilet visit, and that's why. You've kind of zeroed out the bad guys and you can start accumulating again. So it's a delicate balancing act to keep the FODMAPs low enough in the digestive system to avoid bloating, and yet high enough to get the nutrition you need to survive. It's not an easy one, but it can be done, and I've been doing it for 2 years now. Number 8, your digestive system rules your life. Of course it rules your life. I've always wondered, before I found this fantastic diet, I always wondered what it would be like not to have to constantly think about this issue and how it would impact on all the decisions in my life. I mean, I know now because I have it under control finally. Now I seldom have to worry about toilets, but I have to always be aware of what goes in my mouth. If I suffer or not, it's now up to me, not to fate. Okay, those 8 factors indicate that you have irritable bowel syndrome, and it's highly likely that you'll be dramatically helped by the low FODMAP diet like I've been. If this sounds like you, and you're in pain and afraid to leave the toilet, I've created the Inspired Life Low FODMAP coaching program just for you. This is a difficult diet, the low FODMAP diet. It's difficult to implement, and this program will support you for 6 weeks while you do that. If you're interested in having a chat about your issues in the program, please fill out the form at www.strandsofmylife.com/inspiredlife, and I'll give you a call. Thank you very much for listening to this video, and goodbye.